Good morning again, everyone. This time I will share with you a little bit of my life, my wildlife story. Okay, this experience we had a privilege to go to Portugal to find a wonderful piece of property with a country which is Portugal. If you know a bit, Portugal is a kind of a dry climate. We have 5-6 months rain, 5-6 months absolutely no rain, and it was a blessing to be able to have this river. We also had another creek and 2 springs with pure water in abundance coming above the house. So we had an absolute privileged situation. When you're looking for a land, if you ever have that privilege, one of the first criteria, of course, is to be in a situation where you're isolated. Today, isolation is one of the key issues to be part of those that bring solution to the big problems. Okay. The second criteria, of course, is water. Water should be abundant, if not visible underground, but you need to be sure it is pure and in abundance. We are going towards drier and drier summers, more and more days without rain, and if you only depend on rain, you may have a problem. Of course, all water comes from rain, but you need to be taking some steps ahead here. Okay, so it's a place with lots of water. Going to the country, moving to the country, just one side of the plan actually. As we went there, I had no idea it would become a school. Okay, well, that's what happened. You move to the country, you don't go there to be alone, of course. Isolation geographically doesn't mean you're isolated from people. On the contrary, we had young people, and sometimes not so young, coming from 25 nations, came to be trained and learn medical ministry work. We have been, as Christians, we have been given a commission, and we need to understand that the family is at the very center of the work. And in Genesis 1:28, the Bible says, "And God blessed them," that's Adam and Eve, who were created at the image of God. "And God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it." In other words, be responsible. Okay, dominion doesn't mean you're the boss. You're never the boss because you're under the big boss, so you're a manager. Okay, we become stewards, manager of the planet. And if we had stayed on that plan, we wouldn't have none of the problems we are facing today. And that's a very key factor in the solution. The solutions are given to us from the beginning. From the beginning of time, an all-knowing God who knew all things gave the essential counsel, guidelines for humanity. Not just for Adam and Eve. This was given for all of us. Okay? And be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth. That's the first gospel commission. God gave already before the fall to Adam and Eve. And God is the same yesterday, today, tomorrow, forever. Therefore, God doesn't change. His plans don't change. Circumstances may change, but God doesn't change. And therefore, His plan is the same. He says, "Have dominion over the fish of the sea." Dominion means responsibility. If you have a father, you should have dominion over your family, your children. Doesn't mean you're the boss. Okay? You get in trouble if you're the boss. All right? But you're responsible. You have responsibility for the well-being of your family. And this is what my little experience is, with my young children being born in a free land with gardens, nature. There's nobody around there. Okay? You hear the birds, the wind, sound of the water, because we have a creek, a river. And that's how my children grew up. And country living, some people say, oh, country, you got to live in a country. No, country living is a happy experience, okay? And it's happy because you have abundance. I planted those cherry trees 10 years before I even moved to that country, to that property, okay? And one of those cherry trees bear over 200 kilo of cherries. And those trees never seen a granule, a spray, or anything, okay? So that's still my boys. This one was taken in Sweden. This is Mark, my youngest one, when he was 10 years old, drinking his water. He never had any animal foods, no vaccination, very healthy, never sick one day. And only time he made his first teeth, he was crying, so outside of that, he never cried. When he needed something, he would just manifest himself. But when he was baby, it was time for feeding. And later on, he came to us, he says, Daddy, Mommy, you know, I'm hungry. Most children, you know, and before he could speak, he was going with his thumb. You had to be attentive and listen to him, you know. So this is about happy life, healthy life. It's not constrained, oh, I got to go to the country because I understand it's time to do it. No. So to raise a family in the countryside is a wonderful blessing, to be able to grow all kinds of foods. And by the way, people are saying, oh, vegan, they have B12 deficiencies. Here to tell, this is my wife, this is to tell you that on the top of those, this is beetroots, on the leaves of beetroots, unwashed, because you don't have to wash them, because the garden is clean, there's no dog around. You don't have to wash them. Sometimes the rain washes it, or this is in a greenhouse in the winter. But there is lots of B12 on the leaves, unwashed. Okay, you don't have B12 anymore when you buy from the market. They've been sprayed and you wash with city water. It's gone. No more B12. Intrinsic factor is not there. I mean, the bacteria, the yeast, and all the stuff under that you don't see, but it's on the leaves, and your body needs it. Even the dust, your body needs it. Today in the U.S., naturopath sells capsule of soil, of dirt, that people have to take because they wash everything so carefully. Okay? So you eat the food when you can, when it's there, clean, without animal pollution, and you will never lack vitamins, nutrients, B12. That's my oldest son. You know, his mother didn't want him to have a motorbike because her nephew was killed on his 18th birthday. When he got a motorbike, 2 hours later he was dead. Okay, so she says no motorbike. So he got a horse, a baby horse, and he educated and trained the horse using the Monty method, which is just by voice and touch. Okay? And those two, Michael and his horse, have one thing in common. They only had milk from their mother. And the horse is big, and his big guy today, he was 18, today is bigger than that, than me. Okay? So it's a myth. The animal, you must have some animal food to be healthy. It's a myth. It's a story, has no foundation in science, and certainly no foundation in scriptures. All right? So it's up to you. Everyone has to choose, you know, your lifestyle. You're the deciding, the one who will decide if you want to be very healthy, so healthy, or not healthy at all. Okay, Mark, he got a donkey. And here we have Genesis 2:15, again, a very interesting, important statement. The Lord God took the man. By the way, in Genesis 2:8, it says the Lord God planted a garden in Eden. So we find that God himself, his main occupation outside of being a creator, he is a farmer. God is a farmer. Okay? And so it says the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. The word to dress in Hebrew is abad. It means to serve. We can translate to dress as well. But the key meaning is to serve, not to till. Okay, we're going to see how true that is today. And to keep it, one is a work, to serve is a work with a mission, and to keep it is a work and a mission. So you see, God has it all in one package, not just work, 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 forget the mission, or mission, 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 forget the work. God has it all together. He gives us a commission, which is a mission with a work. Okay, farming, gardening, proper understood, is the best way to do evangelism. I found out. I had never given so many Bible study classes, courses, training, education since the time I had a farm, with hundreds of people coming to me. I don't have to run after. I don't have to knock on doors. I'm not good at knocking on doors. And I educated hundreds of people and trained and touched a few other hundreds. Okay, and now with the medias. Okay, the foundation of fertility is the foundation of the garden. God planted a garden. In the midst of the garden, He planted a tree. And that's all the way through, all the way to your studies, all the way to your stories. You need to understand fertility is depending on the tree. Doesn't matter what you grow. Doesn't matter what you grow. You need to understand this thing. If you have no trees in your garden is not sustainable. You're not going to be able to sustain yourself, nor the soil, which is a support. It's going to be the medium by which your plants can get the nutrition. And of course, you get the plants, you get nutrition from the soil. This is our farm in Portugal. You can see olive trees. Under the olive trees, in the winter, we grow oats. And in the summer, we grow vegetables. We have a cold winter, rainy winter, so we grow grains, and then we grow in rotation base, we grow vegetables. This is a little bit a picture to show you, what we have in the soil. All this is a compacted, summarized, way of expressing the trees, vegetables, the plants, the herbs, the grass, mushrooms, fungi, bacteria, protozoa, mites, predators, birds, animals, bees. All this works in nature in harmony. But you guys, you want to grow one crop. I want to grow beans. I want to grow corn. Or I'm going to grow rice. I want to grow soya, whatever. And you have problems. Because instead of having 1,000 species in your land, you're going to have one species or two that are going to come and eat your rice, for example, okay? Because nature cannot have emptiness. So instead of having a multiplicity of species, all working nicely together, all friendly to each other, one adding to the other, you're going to have an empty. Nature will fill the vacuum by one or two species that are going to be agent to destroy, because you have broken this fantastic, harmonious, balanced equilibrium, the ecosystem. And all our job, listen friends, is very simple. Farming is simple. All your job is, how can you do this system in growing food? Or most of it, you can be eaten. That's our work. And that's what we're going to study. So this is an old system where you see olive trees. So it's very dry in summer, 6 months, no rain. But in the winter, here, we cultivate. This is a dry farming system. We have olive trees and grapes. They don't need irrigation. Those don't need irrigation. In the winter, it's raining a lot, and that's when we need protection from the cold and the frost. And underneath here, even though they don't lose their leaves, we have our vegetables growing all through the winter. All the greens, no tomatoes, of course. That's summer crops. Okay, so here you see again, those are sweet potatoes, peppers, olive trees, and you have this harmonious combination. Under trees, you cannot have grass growing. Grass is an enemy of trees. The broad cherry, all the green grass you have, this quack grass, whatever grass you have. All the grasses are enemies to fruit trees and to any trees. If you go to the forest, you never see a grass. Have you? You see, and that's why we need to learn. We need to learn to observe nature. The very first thing we need to learn in this apprenticeship of learning what we call permaculture. permaculture systems, you need to observe. The very first foundation is we need to learn to observe, okay? To begin to develop our sense of observation. All right. So here again, now of course in the cooler climate, summer is hot, but winter, that's when we cultivate in winter without irrigation. Large tract of land we cultivate in winter. The cooler, the more north you are, the wider the space between the rows. All right? In a tropical climate where the sun is up, it doesn't really matter. What matters is what kind of trees you grow so you still have enough light passing through, especially during the cooler or the rainier part of the year. And then of course we prune the trees. Yeah, we're going to explain this part. So we build the greenhouses quite high, because the higher the greenhouse, it's not so plant can grow high. Eventually they can, but it's especially to keep the warm air to the day, and during the night the cool air will come slowly down. Of course, the more warm air you have there, the longer hours you will have warmer air in your greenhouse. We start in trays of 40 plants per tray. We start hundreds and thousands, maybe 5,000 to 6,000 young plants that will be transplanted outside. This is a broccoli or a squash. Okay, and then they just grow in a warmer part of the year. So in a tropical climate, you may have to do the same, because you have dry season, rainy season. In a rainy season, you cannot start to plant young baby plants. They'll be washed away, right? So you have to plant them in a protected area, greenhouse or whatever, and plastic covered. And then you plant them outside at the right time when they're stronger, ready. And those are squash pumpkins. What do you call them? Squash? Yeah. Okay, and you can see we plant them so close, so we don't have time to weed anymore. Okay, weeding is too expensive. You have to pay workers. We pay workers. Costs $15, $20 an hour. Okay, talk about 1,000 pesos per hour. There's no way you can pay somebody just to be out and clean with the. So we grow very close, dense. Soil is covered. Land is covered. No empty spots. Almost no weeds will grow. With time, no weeds will come. This is a little trick we use. We plant sunflower to have shade in the summer. Lettuce don't like too much shade, and this is exactly what you have to do. Now here you can do on a permanent base. You can plant trees, some trees particularly defined. We're going to see which one, and so your soil is covered. This is one way to fertilize minerals. Here you can see diversity. Here is grapes. These are grapes, vines, flowers, of course, and vegetables. Here is more grapes. This is built in terraces. And it's an evolving system, you know. Every year we improve the system. Over the last 10 years, 20 years, I have learned a few things. This is Paul pruning grapes, which you can grow in this country very well. Here are some vegetables. This is a garden with herb gardens. All those are eatable, except maybe this one, maybe not even this one. No, most of the plants. So you grow in association. Okay, one plant helps the other one. Again, here you see a fruit tree. Underneath you see some vegetables growing. We use all the spaces available. Those are pit choy and cauliflower. You can see the soil is covered. I'm going to explain to you with what and how. Here are some other examples of beds. I always cultivate in beds. I don't do field culture. Vegetables and greens I grow in what we call a bed and a path, a permanent path where you can walk and access easily the various beds. Okay, the soil, what you see black is not soil, it's covering. Okay, we never see the soil naked. Okay, this is one of the great things we have to learn to do, how to practice. small farming, small scale, large scale. Yes, you can. You can produce, don't import your mulch, your covering, but you can grow it on the spot. Okay, those are broccoli. And by the way, we eat the whole greens. We don't just eat the flower. You can chop them off, you can juice them, make smoothies, blend them. You blend these leaves with young coconut, boko, and a little lemon, a little salt. Delicious. It's called a gorilla drink, power drink. Okay? Very healthy. You need it every day. This is a kind of experimental corner. We experience those delphinium little plants. You can eat the flowers of these. They are fast growing and they are helpful, attract good insect, kind of repel the bad ones. This is a potato field. Compost making is very important. We're going to show you how to do this. This is just as a little window to show you our farm so you can get a picture before we go into more technical things. You can kind of get a vision, because when there is no vision, people perish. So we teach you how to make compost, hot compost, cold compost, liquid compost. This is a interesting picture. It's my boys again, and you see sunflower here and you see sunflower here. Now those sunflowers were planted same time, and these did not get a special treatment. See this container here? This container contains weeds, grasses, only weeds, okay? What people call weeds, stinging nettles and other greens, fresh greens, clover, whatever you can collect. We put it there, we put a stone on it on top. We had water, and we let it ferment 10 days. Very simple. No secret mixture, you know, just collect, put them in, stone, water, then you take out all the stuff, compost it, and the water, you dilute it 7 times. 1 volume from the bucket, from the container, and 7 times just pure water. And you water the ground. And I told my boys to do it once a week. I think they did it whenever they were feeling like. Okay, so I had no control how much they put in. The result was, this is in August. In September, by September, mid-September, they were like this, and you can see they're not ripe yet. So by end September, they were ripe. They were maybe this high. Okay, so huge plant. Genetically, potential was reached, while the one we were not treated like this stayed small. Okay, so you can see the beneficial use of what you have around your farm without going into very complicated mixture. I'm not against complicated mixture. I do teach them, I do practice them at times, but listen, it can be very simple. Now here you're on an island and you have a lot of greens in a rainy season, and you can make those juices ahead of time. We say 10 days, but you can keep them for months. They will become anaerobic, they will smell bad, I understand that, but you can still use them. They are best to use after 10 days, but after 1 month you can still use them. Okay, what you're looking for is to bring into the soil, to build up your soil, to produce humus. I don't grow carrots and tomatoes and grapes, I grow humus. Humus, root, homo, it gives the word humanity, human, humility, okay? Humus is the key of your activity. The very center of your production, your activity is to, number 1, harvest water. We're going to show you the first harvest is not carrots or banana. The first harvest you have responsibility on your land is to harvest the water. And we're going to see how we do that. All right. The second responsibility is to grow enough things so you will have a humus production, a continuous humus production, not just humus, because you have basically 2 kinds of humus, unstable and stable. The stable humus is made with carbon, carbonated matters. Carbonated matters, fibers. Where do you get the fibers? called wood. You have to grow wood, and you don't make charcoal and fire, all right? You keep the wood that you grow the first 5-6 years, you keep it on the land, and then you can take 10% away if you want to cook or construction, or if you want to use it to make charcoal. Living soil makes healthy soil, which gives healthy plants, healthy people. Okay, now I told you before, Genesis 2:8 talks about the Lord God planted a garden in the east of Eden. Okay, so God is a farmer. Here's another verse, John 15:1. Jesus says, I am the true vine, my Father, he is a farmer. Okay, husbandman means a farmer. Okay, so this is very important to understand. We are the children of a farmer, while the enemy of good wants to tell us that, oh, farming is a horrible thing. What are you doing in life? Well, I'm a doctor, a nurse, I'm a physician, advocate, a lawyer, an architect. Oh, that's nice. What are you? Oh, I'm a gardener. Oh, really? It's taken into consideration nothing, yet God himself, he's a farmer. And he's a humble God, and we have to be humble as he is, and get the joy, the greatest joy of harvest. It may be the joy of harvesting. The best day in my life was when my son, oldest son, Michael, was 4 years old. The day before, his mother asked, Michael, what would you like to have for your birthday? He looked at him and says, well, he was 4 years old. He said, well, I would like to have a garden party. A garden party? What's that? You know, we live in a country. What's a garden party? He said, well, we go to the garden. He's born in end of July, so end of July we have everything in a garden. We have watermelon, tomatoes, onions, carrots, beets, you name it. We have there with 400 crops, so with a lot of stuff. And he said, well, we go there, we wash in the spring, you know, and we just sit down and we eat it. That was the garden party. That was the best day in my life when I heard that, you know. So, and we did. And it was a blessing. You see, children are what the environment make them. And of course, you got to, you know, I'm not saying it's all cooked, it's all easy. Education is the greatest challenge any man and woman will have in life. Okay. So, joy of harvest, strawberry, raspberries, you know, in season, lettuce. This is squash, pumpkins. You know, this one is 75 kilo. It's organic. You know, no cheating, no secrets. Just feed the soil. Soil take care of the rest. Okay. We have those are bagu, what you call bagu beans. We call it French beans. Preserved, canned, sterilized. In this country, I would rather dry them than can them. Okay, you can dry beans, not sun dried, but warm air dried. Build a little sun oven or sun dryer. Those are patatas. We grow a lot of potatoes, different waves, and we keep them in the cellar. So we try to have them all year round. Tomatoes. Tomato is a great crop. This is the biggest we ever had. 1 kilo 300 grams, which is a little bit over 2 pounds. Yeah, 2.5 pounds. So it's yeah, it's a nice thing to have around. You slice them, and by the way, those are really tomatoes. Those are flesh tomatoes. Tomatoes you have here are canning tomatoes for cooking. These are tomatoes you should eat raw. They are fresh, soft, juicy, smelling good, tasting great. Okay, so, and this is one of the things I like to say. It's growing your food is like printing your own money. From a seed costs us pennies, you can get dollars. Okay, so for 1 peso you can have 100 pesos. All right, that's printing your money. And it's being the owner of your local supermarket, because when it's time for lunch, I just go in the alleys of my garden and I pick and choose and I bring them on the table. I don't even wash them all the time. Sometimes I wash them if there's too much stuff on it. But we have mulch, so plants are clean, fruits, vegetables are clean. We don't have to wash them too much. And just go and eat them. Combine them together. And by the way, I try to eat, or actually I eat about 80% of my food raw, so I don't have to cook everything. Yeah, those are small apple-sized tomatoes. They come in bunch. And you can see here, there's no leaves. So as soon as the leaves grow, when the plant is small, we chop the leaf, the bottom leaves, so the leaf doesn't touch the soil. Because it touches the soil, even though it's mulch, it touches the soil, they get spores of fungi and they start to get those diseases. Okay, fungus disease. I don't spray at all. Okay, so as soon as the low leaves have a little spots, we chop them off, gets more sun on the plant, and you can see here that tree is probably, that vine is over 3 meters tall. So from the first to the last, we have tomatoes for May, June, July, August, September, October, 6 months. Okay, and of course you can plant in wave as well. So you can have tomatoes in a protected environment outside and in a greenhouse all year round in this climate. Those are specific species. Those are turned oranges when they're ripe. All right, so tomato farming is an amazing thing, you know. By the way, it's the most cultivated plant on the planet. Okay, I mean fruit vegetable, and it's not difficult at all. This is, by the way, this is a lettuce, organic lettuce. Okay, it's a chicorea family, very delicious. Okay, grapes. Grape is a wonderful crop if you can have it. It's easy to grow. It has many benefits. It's a very healthy food, nutritious, energetic. And here in Portugal, we grow it like this. In this climate, you can grow it also like this. And underneath, you can grow your vegetables. Okay? So, no question. These are structures, but I've learned to grow them also observing nature. I saw one big oak tree full of an old plant of grape that was growing there. And there was full of grapes, so I went on a tree, I harvested, tried the grapes, it was delicious. So I thought, instead of making those expensive forms and keeping them up, you know, fences and posts, I decided to plant some acacia trees. And the grapes just grows around. And before I came here, I just planted a whole farm with trees, acacia, and grapes. This is pressing the juice. This is a man-made, self-made press. So we squeeze, get the juice out, it's filtered, and put into bottles, glass bottle, and then it is pasteurized. Pasteurization is not sterilization. Pasteurization is you put those bottles sealed when they are, juice has to be fresh juice, okay, before it ferments. So you have to cold press it, put it into the bottle, seal it with a simple sealer, press the cap in. Those are metal caps. And then we put them in an oil drum with water. We make a fire underneath, and we bring the water to 80 degrees centigrade for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Let the water cool down, you stop the fire, cool it down. In the morning, you take the bottles out, you put them somewhere in a dark room, and they keep 10, 20 years without fermenting. So you have calorie nutrition for many years ahead of time. Whatever happens tomorrow, you have something sweet to drink, and you can do this with any kind of fruits. You can do with mango, with any kind of juicy fruits, of course. Okay, and you can also do it with like papaya. Okay, too much papaya. Then you do a smoothie. You blend them. You put them in jars, you heat up the pulp. When it's 100 degrees, boiling, you put it into a jar, you seal it. That's called sterilization. Okay. You can do this with tomatoes, but also in this climate, I would rather dry the fruits, okay, to build a simple solar dryer. Strawberries. Okay, when you're in the country, one of the big issues people bring to me, and I face the same, of course, and that is buildings. Well, since I'm an architect and I love to design and to build, I build my own house, and actually this is a sanitarium, lifestyle. These are stones from the farm, and of course this is designed, but inside it's mostly rock and stones with a coating, plaster of lime and clay. Okay, this is the wood structure, how to work. So this is this clay we use for plastering the walls. We use also wood. And this is how this is built. Now this is a bit fancy, but very simple to build when you know how to do it. Very inexpensive, because it's basically built with gravel, sand, and stones. 90% or 80% of the ingredients are just around the place. So this is how it is. This is the inside of the room, of the hall. It's just rocks, you can see them. We have lots of water, so we have water tanks and it's fish ponds, and so this is for beauty. This is a life retreat, lifestyle center, so it has to have a lot of wonderful things around so people can rediscover a new way of living, new way of life. This is a porch here. Yeah. So this is country living. And people say, oh, but you did it because you had a lot of money. When I started this project, I had $500 in my pocket. It's God's miracles, okay? All right. So this is a lifestyle here center with the principle we use here. You know, it's an anagram I was inspired to make. Recreation, 10 vital principles, regular exercise, trust in God, cleanliness, purity of life, very important. Okay, rest when it is time, proper rest. Go to bed early and wake up early. A beautiful environment, lots of water, temperance, in sunshine, open, pure air. Now, where can you have open, pure air unless you are in the country? It's an essential factor for health, because you can live 3 days without water, but 3 minutes without air. And of course, nutrition, very essential. So this is just a little outline of what we do, teach people how to breathe, how to live, to be happy, to enjoy life, take the good side of it. This is to give treatments. You know, we need to assist the body to expel the impurities. Disease is an effort of nature to expel toxins that have been introduced by wrong lifestyle, transgression of the laws of life. That's what disease is. Any disease, doesn't matter. You'll find this in the book Ministry of Healing, page 127. Okay, so you can read it and learn from that. And it says our work is to ascertain the cause and then to do what? To assist nature to expel those impurities. And one of the ways we do this is, of course, drinking lots of water and using steam bath. Okay, Russian steam bath, not the dry steam bath. This is humid steam bath. Put a person there, they sweat 12 minutes, get them a cold shower, rest half an hour. Very simple. Oh, here you don't have to do too much of that because it's so warm. You sweat a lot. So be careful with air conditioning, by the way, okay? In your car it's okay because it gets really hot, but at home, not the best. All right, this is a room. And of course we do training classes on nutrition, how to cleanse, because disease is brought by two things: eating the wrong things, all right, and not having enough nutrition. That's the two main causes of diseases. So to reverse the steam, all you have to do is to get back, first of all, eliminate, clean the natural channel, open the channels: colon, liver, kidneys, lungs, and skin. Very simple. So find the strategies how to do that. And then introduce powerful nutrition, fresh foods, variety, abundance, okay? Excuse me. And most of the time, people cannot do it because this is what I cannot afford. That's why we say, well, what about growing your food? Okay. Which is, of course, a privilege today. So this is how we serve breakfast to people. Every person has a tray with different things on it. Every day it's different. Every person has a different plate or preparation. This is lunch. And this is a sweet pie, fruit pie, with no sugar, no artificial sugar, no refined sugar. This is just fruits and nuts and some grains. Okay, no oil, by the way. Okay. Yesterday we recorded a session on health. Please have a look at it if you were not here. Okay, you will learn. I hope you will learn a few good things. Okay, this is our kitchen. This is all. We build all that stuff ourselves. You know, we didn't have money to hire people. We also do reaching out, community service. Okay, back to our topic on agriculture. Connecting to the next presentation is this one. This is what we call a tree. A tree has as much life or more underground than here. All right. Here we're dealing with light atoms, okay, sunlight, and it's not an atom, it's a radiation. Then we have oxygen, hydrogen, and carbon. Those are light atoms. Okay. Nitrogen, you breathe it all the time. It's a neutral gas. In the soil, we have three here. We have 28 here. 28 heavy atoms. Now, quickly, the atomic charges here are light, and they're atomic boundings. You cannot destroy atomic boundings, can you? That would be atomic fraction, then you would have an atomic bomb. Okay, so the bindings here are atomic, so you cannot destroy air, can you? You can pollute air, but you cannot destroy it. You can pollute water, you cannot destroy water, all right? Because they are atomic binded molecules. But the soil has those 28 atoms are all held together through electrical charges. Can you interrupt an electrical charge? I just have to unplug and that's it. Okay, turn off the bottom, boom, no more electricity, it's gone. So while these particles here, this world here, you cannot destroy it, not easily. You would have to boil all the oceans to get rid of the water, okay? But to disrupt this system here, it's very easy because all the charges are basically negative and positive charges, anions and cations, and the relation between both, and it's very easy to disrupt that. All you have to do is to use, just for example, you have a soil, you use a metal spade, just metal, put into the soil, you have disrupted all the charges. This is the beginning of killing the soil. That's why in the Bible, it says in Genesis 1:15, okay, that man was commanded to serve the soil or to dress the soil, not to till it. Okay? So if, of course, we understand at times you have to, and we call that landscape, you may have a slope and you may have to do something, you know, like this. Okay? This is called landscaping. When you make a rice paddy, you're landscaping. But then, when it comes to your daily or your yearly work, you don't have to turn all that. Then you have to find ways to do the work the way the master gardener, who is our model, the way he makes the forest, the forest here, an untouched forest, you don't have to till the ground. Excuse me. You don't have to put any granules. There are trees in the world today, still a few, not many. I saw one in southwest Palawan last 2 weeks ago. Okay, it was about 50 meters tall. There are some 80. It was pretty big. So if you have a tree here, let me show you a tree here. Okay, here's a tree. Okay, and here is you. That's a tree. Whatever around here, those are bushes. Even those are bushy plants. This is a tree. It's about 200 or 300 or 400 years old. I don't know. Okay, it can be 2,000 up to 2,000 years old. And that tree has a pivotal root system. It can go 100 meters deep. Maybe 300 feet. Okay. And of course, it has two kinds of roots, horizontal and vertical. The vertical root, when it rains, will bring the water down. That we have found in caves 150 meters underground, roots of an oak tree on top dripping water. No tree, the water stays on the soil. Maybe 1 or 2 millimeters will go in, and the rest will stay there, and if it has a little slope, it will go down. Every person in this room is responsible, as you eat, we're each losing about 3 tons of topsoil a year per hectare. 3 tons. You're losing 3 tons. I mean, we are losing every one of us, 3 tons per year per hectare. So if you have 1 hectare of land, okay, 1 hectare of little slope, you are losing every year between 30 and 250 tons of top. This is ton. 1 ton is 1,000 kilo. So you're losing between 1 and 5, 6, 7, 8 semi-load or biggest truck you can think of soil a year per hectare. That's serious. That's why we're coming into a time where there is no more soil. People ask me, do I have good soil here? You know, here is some soil. So is this good soil on my farm? And I look at it. Well, before even I go, I know already. Say, what did you grow? Did you burn the soil? Did you burn the plants? Did you cut all the trees? Oh, he says, yeah, that's how we do it here. Oh, okay. Well, I don't even have to go and look at your soil because you have no soil. Your soil is in the ocean long time ago. When 300-400 years ago, when you have this big forest, even on a slope on a hill, you have this big tree growing, you know, okay? When it rains, what happens? And underneath you have these sequences here, complex. 1 hectare, 1,000 species. 1 hectare of untouched forest is 1,000 species of plants. Hundreds of species of insects, animals, you name it. All right? And then we cut all that. Well, we burn all the undercover here. What happened? Now we have a naked soil. rains on it, your topsoil made of mulch, those fine particles of vegetation, it's gone in the ocean. When that is gone, it takes 1,000 years to make that much of soil, topsoil, 1,000 years. When this is gone, you work with subsoil. Now, the good news, don't have to wait 1,000 years. It takes a few months to a few years to restore the soil to some of its fertility. I'm not saying you're going to have what you had before, all right? But to some fertility, I need to understand something, and something very fundamental. If you write down anything, please write this down. Fertility, the soil we have here are more or less laterite soil. Okay? This is tropical climate. We have laterite soil. In a northern climate, the fertility can be in the soil because the decomposition process is slow. Here it's very fast. Something falls on the ground, it's gone in 6 months, it's gone. You have insects, all kinds of animals going to eat it, take care of it, and put it into the soil. But on this kind of soil, the fertility is not in the soil. So you can write this down. Fertility in a tropical climate like here, fertility is not in the soil mostly. It's on the soil and the plants that grow. That's where your fertility is. It's not in adding granules that will solve the problem. It's in covering your soil with sufficient material, and in growing things, they will bring down water, pull up nutrients, leaves will fall, carbon will be falling on the ground, producing humus. This is a cycle, life cycle. And we're going to talk about life cycle in our next presentation. We're going to talk about the carbon cycle and the nitrogen cycle. Okay? As the two main components that you need to think about, knowing also that in the soil you have the potential of having 103 micronutrients, micro and macro. Macro means big, micro of course means small. You have about 103, okay? I'm not saying you have it all the time, but, and by the way, the only place in the world where you can have all this, guess where it is? In the sea water. Sea water has all the 103. I'm going to talk about this in our next talk. Okay, this is the end for this one. Have a good afternoon and a good lunch. Thank you very much. Okay. Very good. So we have basically reached the point where now we're going to build up. Okay.